Welcome to On the Record with Big Nick, episode 29. Big Nick's turning 29 at the end of the week.
Oh, shit. Wow.
How about that? Is that a coincidence?
I think not.
Nope.
Wow.
I don't think so.
That's awesome.
Anyway, sorry to get off track. I just caught me off guard there. Today's topic of On the Record is we're going to talk about the best and worst MLB contracts ever. Contract moves. Because it's the off season, and it's been a slower off season than usual. Because if you haven't heard of a thing called coronavirus, it's taken over the fucking world. Last time I checked, some of these free agents, they'll be on your team still 3 or 4, 5 years down the road if you sign the big ones. We're gonna just talk about some of the best moves that were made, and then we're gonna talk about some of the worst moves. So we're gonna start with some of the best moves.
I got a couple questions for you regarding the offseason.
I could have a couple answers for you.
If you were a coach or a GM, whoever's making these big moves,
Yep.
what is your mindset when you're making these big contract moves? Does it depend on what you need? Obviously, you probably just answered my own question, but in your words, does it depend on what you need from a general manager's standpoint, or how you're looking at it from a big market? Say you're a big market guy, medium market, small market.
So it's different for all three of those level tier teams. If you're a big market team, obviously you're gonna sign the big fishes most of the time.
Yeah.
If you're a middle of the market team, you might have just enough to get over the hump, but maybe you make that one move to compete with a bigger market team. And then obviously if you're a small market team, you're just trying to do what you can with what you have pretty much. Now let's be honest here, okay? Just throwing this out there. I'm not saying this is for every team. Small market teams choose to be small market teams. That's how I always looked at it. These owners have the money, they can spend it. They just don't want to. Certain owners will spend more, some won't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the Athletics have the same budget as the Red Sox. I'm not saying that guy's as rich as the Red Sox. He may not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Big market teams are always trying to compete with, are they the big dog? Are they the best team? That's what it's all about. And there's more pressure to win. Fan base wants you to win more. There's definitely more riding on the big market teams than there are the media, because they don't expect the middle of the pack small market teams to win.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that they can't.
Yeah.
I consider the Nationals a middle of the market team.
Mm-hmm.
They won it 2 years ago. It all depends. Some teams are just waiting for that one pitcher. They're one pitcher away.
Mm-hmm.
They're one hitter away. They're one bullpen piece away.
So if you're the GM, it depends on
it all depends on what your structure of your team is, but you try to think short term, but you also want to try to think long term. I mean, if you're in a win now mode, that's great, but you also want to think, what about 5-6 years down the road?
Mm-hmm.
Now it changes. If you have all the guys now and you know you can't keep everybody, even if you're a big market team, you're going to do whatever you can to win now while you have everybody.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, screw the future.
So your mindset would change depending on if you're a big, small, medium?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
If I was a GM of the Yankees or the Red Sox, my mindset is get as many fucking players as I can and try to win every year. Mm-hmm. If I'm a middle of the pack guy, I'm trying to compete as best I can with these teams, but also knowing my limitations based on either what ownership has told me or so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Small market, I work with what I have, and I try to piece it together and rely more on my farm system.
All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to give you 5 good trades or off-season transactions. Could be a trade, and then I'm going to give you 5 bad ones, and we'll rate the best and the worst.
Okay, let's do it.
The famed Babe Ruth trade.
I am so glad I wasn't alive for this. The Red Sox sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees the year after they won the fucking World Series for $125,000. Now, again, I don't know what $125,000 translates in today's money, but still, you fucking traded away arguably the best player that ever lived for the Red Sox, and you turned the Yankees into the empire they are today.
Twins trade for Johan Santana. Santana was selected in Rule 5 draft by the Marlins from Houston and promptly traded to Minnesota for Jared Camp. While the lefty had some growing pains with the Twins, he eventually went on to win 2 Cy Young Awards.
That guy was nasty in his day. Nasty. Love watching him pitch.
Then we got Mariners purchased Ichiro Suzuki. M's won the rights to Ichiro from the Oryx Blue Wave and installed him as their starting right fielder and leadoff man. Ichiro drew comparisons at the time, but it was soon clear he was something much better. He won the Rookie of the Year and MVP in his first season, made 10 All-Star games, won 10 Gold Gloves, 2 batting titles, and led the league and hit 7 times.
Yeah, I mean, Ichiro's a Hall of Famer. There's nothing more you have to say about that. He was an incredible player.
So that was a purchase, not a trade. All right. Then we got Giants signed Barry Bonds. Joined the team of his father and Willie Mays after signing a record-breaking 6-year, $43 million contract. Went on to become the single-season and all-time home run leader. And then we got Red Sox trade for Pedro.
What a great trade that was. Oh, my word, what a trade that was.
Was traded from Montreal to Boston. Fresh off his first Cy Young award, he won 2 more Cy Youngs in 7 seasons with the Red Sox and helped the curse of the Bambino. Diamondbacks signed Randy Johnson. The big unit was a risk going to his age 35 season on a 4-year, $52.4 million contract with the D-backs. During his 5 years in Arizona, he won 4 Cy Young awards in what was arguably the greatest 4-year stretch by a pitcher in history.
Guy was so nasty.
He
Guy was
also
gross. He was gross.
Yeah.
And Johnson was nasty.
He also helped Arizona to a World Series win in 2001. All right, so those are our best. Let's rank those.
It's just remarkable that Barry Bonds signed for 6 years, $43.75 million. Could you imagine if Barry Bonds was playing today, how much he would sign for? I guarantee he'd sign for over $400 million. So if I'm going to rate these, number one's got to be the Yankees trading for Babe Ruth. I mean, come on. $125,000? That's not even an argument. That's definitely the best one. I'd have to say number 2 is the Red Sox trading for Pedro. That was just incredible. I mean, they literally got him for nothing. I'd say number 3 would be the Giants signing Barry Bonds. Number 4, I would say, is the Mariners purchasing Ichiro Suzuki. Number 5, I'm going to go with Diamondbacks signing Randy Johnson. And then last, I'm going to say the Twins traded for Johan Santana. So I already explained the first one. Second one, I think the Red Sox trade for Pedro was one of the best trades that was ever made in history. One of. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm saying it's one of the best. Mm-hmm. Because that guy literally dominated when he was here in Boston, and they literally gave up nothing for him. Nothing. I mean, Carl Bavano was not even a name then when they got rid of him. Mm-hmm. He ended up being a half-decent pitcher, but, like, for Pedro, I mean, Barry Bonds was just an unbelievable player. You know, when he was with Pittsburgh, he could run, he could hit, he had power. Not as much as he did when he was with the Giants. That was a great signing for them. You know, Randy Johnson, I mean, Randy Johnson speaks for himself. And then Johan Santana, obviously he was a Rule 5 draft guy. I mean, you don't hear about Rule 5 draft guys becoming big-time players in the MLB. Just, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen every once in a while, but it's few and far in between.
What did you just say? He was in the League 5?
No, he was in the Rule 5 draft.
What is the Rule 5 draft?
It's when you have a player on your 40-man roster and you can't, his service time is up with you. Yeah. So he can be eligible for the Rule 5 draft, or you have to move him up to your 40-man roster by the time he hits 6 years. Because there's only so much time you can keep a guy in a farm system before you either A, lose the rights to him, or B, you have to put him on your 40-man. If he's on your 40-man, then he's secured. Mm-hmm. If he's not on your 40-man, he's eligible to be drafted by another team.
All right, make our way to the worst. Angels signed Mo Vaughn.
Ugh, what a terrible deal this was. Mo Vaughn fell off a cliff after he signed with the Red Sox. He also fell into the drive-through. I don't know how much, but he gained a lot of weight. He was big when he was with the Red Sox.
Is Pablo a bad trade too?
Pablo wasn't a trade, it was a sign.
Bad sign.
Oh, yeah. It's terrible that you don't have that written here.
So Mo Vaughn. Anaheim spent big on the 31-year-old Vaughn in 1998. After his big years in Boston, signing him to a 6-year, $80 million contract. While he was productive with the Angels, Vaughn's numbers dropped off considerably in his first 2 years, and he missed all of 2001, and he was eventually traded to the Mets.
When you trade somebody in the middle of a contract like that, you're trying to dump them.
Rangers signed Alex Rodriguez on January 26, 2001. A-Rod signed the richest contract in sports history, shocking the world with a 10-year, $252 million deal to join Texas.
It's too bad that it didn't work out in Texas for him. Because they had some guys coming up with him. Like Michael Young was there. Ian Kinslow was there. Wasn't Juan Gonzalez there at the time? Or Pudge was there. Pudge Rodriguez was there. The point is they had some guys like they could work with him with. I think if he stayed there, they would have won a championship.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. If they got like a pitcher.
Angels signed Josh Hamilton.
Ugh. What an awful deal this was.
Angels owner Artie Moreno just couldn't keep his wallet shut, signing Hamilton to a 5-year deal worth $125 million. Hamilton struggled with injuries in his first 2 years with the Angels and was traded to the Rangers along with $63 million.
When this deal was originally signed, I thought it was a great deal. Like, he was coming off a great year, a couple years with the Rangers. It seemed like he was getting his life back together. In retrospect, if Josh Hamilton performed like he did in Texas for them, that would have been a great deal. Unfortunately, that's why there's no crystal ball. When you make these moves, some are going to work, some aren't. Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
What's up with the printer down there?
Maybe it didn't work for your stupid thing.
What stupid thing?
You fucking heard me. That's what I just said.
What are you printing?
I just said it. You don't listen. I said I print down there. I have no problems. You have problems.
I think because it was...
You're a fucking encyclopedia of problems.
Encyclopedia of problems?
They won't fucking tell you because they're too nice. I'll fucking tell you. You're fucking encyclopedia of problems.
You know what? You bounce back.
The word problems got your name written on it. Problem face.
I got one that's probably not on your list.
Okay.
Bobby Bonilla.
Oh, Bobby Padilla!
Oh, yeah. Remember
They're still paying that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Bonilla gets paid $1.2 million every year by the Mets from since 2001 until 2035
Unbelievable.
when he is 72 years old.
What an awful deal that was! They deferred all his money. It just eventually grew compound interest. I mean, luckily it's only $1 million, but it's like you got to pay that for another 12 more years, 14 more years. That's ridiculous.
Hayward.
Awful deal.
From the rival Cardinals on an 8-year, $184 million contract. He's been an excellent defensive outfielder for the Cubs, winning 2 Gold Gloves, but Hayward's bat has crashed. He is just a .711 OPS for 4 seasons as the team's primary right fielder, averaging .252, .1257 during that time.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing has ever been said about his speed or his defense. It's his offense that sucked. Offense is awful. You can't pay a guy $184 million for just a glove. You got to swing the fucking bat.
All right, and then we got lastly, Angels sign Albert Pujols.
This was a shame. I love this guy.
Cardinals apparently didn't want to spend the money. It was required to keep Pujols after 11 spectacular seasons, but the Angels were ready to make a splash. They signed the first baseman to a 10-year, $240 million deal. Pujols' play immediately dropped off, and it's just a .764 OPS in 8 seasons with the Angels. All right, where are you ranking those brutal contracts?
Let's see. I would go with Ben Benito one at number 1. That's just terrible.
Yeah.
You could have just given the guy $6 million and just let it go. Now you're paying him like 10 times what he's supposed to get. Hamilton at 2, Movan at 3, Pujols at 4, A-Rod at 5. Because I don't think A-Rod's deal was awful. I just think they gave it to him and then they just decided not to spend more money. They could have kept him. Mm-hmm. They should have kept him.
Yeah.
They should have kept him. There you go. There's another middle of the pack team that made a big free agent signing, and they realized, oh shit, we don't have enough money for everybody else. You make a deal like that, you need to compete with this guy.
Yeah.
This is why you made this deal.
Yeah.
And you fucking fed him to the richer.
Any others that come to mind that we didn't talk about?
I mean, Crawford's was terrible.
Yeah.
Crawford's is horrible. Sandoval's is horrible. Hanley's is horrible. Jacoby Ellsbury's horrible. Yeah, I mean, there's a few other ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could sit here all day and think about it,
Yeah.
but those are the ones that come up to mind. So that does it for this episode of On the Record. Tell us what you think of deals that you think stunk, and which ones you think were bargains, which ones were great. We hope you enjoy this show. We appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe. Put your notifications on YouTube so you can get all of our stuff, all of our shows, On the Record, Snack Time, Office Games, In the Pit, so on and so forth. And we appreciate you guys. So this is Big Nick's last episode until he turns 29. So I'll be back better than ever. That's a wrap.